Hi, my name is Adrian Balderas, and I'm going to be teaching you how you can actually use Christ consciousness to manifest anything in your life. And I'm going to start by prefacing this because I feel like people need to know is that I've been able to do $170,000 in terms of revenue in the last 4 months. I'm 22 years old. I live on my own. I have used this to create a circle of friends that are like-minded individuals. I've used this to create my team. I've used this to attract money and just kind of create my dream style, my dream life, essentially. There's certain things I've yet to accomplish, but at such a young age, right, relatively speaking, I've been able to accomplish a lot in such a short amount of time. So first things first, I wanted to say that because I feel like some people want to see results or want to know why they should listen to me. But to start things off, I want you guys to understand that God, or the Creator, and in my instance it's Yahshua or Jesus Christ, created us, right? Created us as a human being, and He created us in His image, right? God created human beings and created us in His image, and so by default we can also create by harnessing the power of God by reaching Christ consciousness, right? Christ, Jesus Christ, and we are not above God, we are not a God, but we're actually able to harness the power of God to actually create and manifest our reality. So with that being said, I would actually encourage people to start reading the Bible. And when you do this, don't read it in a literal sense. Don't read it word for word and expect to get answers, because the Bible was actually written hundreds or a couple thousands of years ago. Right, it was written in a different time, in a different era, and it was sort of documenting some historical events, right? And when you do this, I want you guys to try to get spiritual enlightenment, to actually understand and be able to read in between the lines and see what you can actually take from it and apply it to today. Because I honestly believe that all the answers that you need in your life could actually be found within the Bible. Now, this isn't going to be me trying to push you into religion, to believing into something certain, but I would actually encourage you to get out of religion to be able to understand the full picture. Now, getting into Christ consciousness, I want you guys to also understand that in our brains, we create something that's called cerebral spinal fluid, which is also referred to as Christos oil, which also means Christos energy, which could also translate to anointed one. So whenever we do this, right, it travels down your spine or your vertebrae, which we have 3 of, and it reaches to your sacrum, okay, which is around the abdominal or the pelvis region, right, where your I don't know the medical terms, but kind of like where your groin is, okay? Let me just say that. And it passes your sacrum, right? And there's a cool thing that happens if you don't squander it, right? Because at the end of the day, that cerebral spinal fluid is your Christos energy or your Christos oil. And the way people actually end up squandering it is through bad habits, consuming alcohol, consuming drugs, their environment, actually releasing their seed. So for men, that could be ejaculating or masturbating. And I'm going to give you an example. It's like whenever a man does that action, he actually feels tired, he feels ashamed, he feels low energy. Why? Because he's releasing that seed after sex or after performing a certain action. But what actually happens when you don't squander that is that it ends up shooting back up to your pineal gland, which allows you to actually elevate and reach Christ consciousness. Now, I'm going to take it a step further because sometimes people don't have the right programming, they don't have the right belief system, they don't have the right mindset. So if I were to constantly think about lust, about women, about drugs, about money, and that cerebral spinal fluid or that Christos energy actually flows down, reaches my sacrum, and I don't release my seed or release my energy and it shoots back up, what do you think is going to happen? I'm going to just constantly be thinking of lust, drugs, and all the negative stuff, right? But on the other side, or on the other hand, if I were to reprogram myself to believe that I was rich, that I was abundant, that I had a great group of friends, that I had my dream lifestyle, And those thoughts and that Christos energy from my brain flows down my body, and I don't squander it, and it shoots back up. What do you think would happen then? How would reality react, right? And it's a cool concept because it's energy, and energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred. Now, using this method, I've been able to manifest a bunch of things. Going from February to the beginning of March, I was talking with my business partner, and we were talking about creating an app and having real infrastructure that will allow us to actually scale the business and have transparency, have training. 2 weeks went by because we were on the same frequency, we were on the same mindset, and we had full faith that it would happen, right? It was just a matter of when. Through one of our affiliates, we actually met a developer. His name is Joseph. He's in-house, he's part of our team now. And within those 2 weeks, I believe that the Creator or God works through people, and he's able to unravel situations or unravel information or unravel certain events in life that will lead you to that destination. And I made another video where, I could talk about faith, but we full-heartedly believed and we had full faith that it would get done. There was no doubt, there was no anxiety, there was nothing but full conviction that it would get done, and it actually happened, okay? And it's a muscle that you have to actually train. Because like you go to the gym once, you're not gonna be shredded, you're not gonna be ripped, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to manifestation. People think that if they just have this thought at the forefront of their mind for 1 to 2 days, that it's going to happen just like that. It might happen 2 weeks, it might happen in 2 months, or it might happen in 2 years. But it's a muscle that you have to train, right? Because people associate, oh, just because it didn't happen immediately, just because it didn't happen now, people associate delay with bad. It didn't happen right now, so, oh, it must not work. It didn't happen now, so, I'm gonna switch my thoughts, I'm gonna switch my attention to something else. Right? And human beings now in this day and age are actually so easily distracted because we have everything at the tip of our fingers, right? We have phones, we have social media, everyone's constantly fighting for your attention, everyone's trying to sell you something. Things are constantly moving, things are constantly going on around the world. Attention is literally currency, right? But if you're able to stay focused, if you're able to have certain intention and intensity behind your thoughts and train your muscle, then time is irrelevant, because time was a man-made construct for us human beings to actually understand things, right? God is all-knowing. God is created everything, but time, he lives outside of time. Time was a man-made construct. So just because it doesn't happen now, just because there was a little delay, doesn't mean that it won't happen. But because most people don't train this muscle, because most people don't have full faith, full conviction, most people don't, put all their energy, focus, and intensity behind it, and I'll actually talk on a different topic in a little bit. Just because it doesn't happen immediately, they don't continue doing it, right? So it's just like the gym. You have to go, in order to grow that muscle, you have to train it consistently. And I realized this, and things that took 4 years started happening in 2 months. Just like the developer. I need a developer, happened in 2 weeks. We talked about the app, we worked with the developer, and we got the app up and running in 3 weeks. I needed a lead for my business, and this is the topic I was gonna talk about, is that rather than begging and feeling like I need it or that I want it, I actually said that I was thankful for it, as if I already had it. Okay, because if you're in the state of wanting and scarcity mindset and needing something, what you're actually doing is you're repelling the exact thing that you want. So what I did is said, I'm thankful for the lead because I know I will get it. And I did this last week on Wednesday. I had an affiliate marketer. He sent me a lead not even 20 minutes later, right? And so things are happening constantly. And because I realized the power that I hold, right? Because God created me in his image and I can harness that power through Christ consciousness, things are happening at such a faster rate. What took me 2 years is happening in 2 months. What took me 2 months is happening in 2 weeks. What took me 2 weeks is happening in 2 days. What took me 2 days is happening in 20 minutes, right? So I don't care about time because I know that whatever I want or that will be mine, I know it shall be mine and that it will eventually come. So it's a powerful concept. It's a powerful thing to actually understand. And once you start to grasp it, once you start to train it, and once you truly understand it, you can start manifesting things in your life. I manifested a great group of circle of friends. They all are business minded. They all believe in religion and in God, and they all are like-minded individuals. They have their own businesses. You know, one does real estate, one builds houses, one does wholesaling, one does e-commerce, one of them does trading, one of them, you know, has a tech company. I have a marketing company. We each have our own businesses, but we're able to come together. So that's one thing, right? I was able to attract my business partner. I was able to create and attract the perfect business that allows me to have time and location freedom, and I'm getting to the point where I actually have financial freedom, right? I don't have to clock in anywhere. I don't have to be at a job at a certain time. I don't have to work for anyone else. I don't have to wait for someone to tell me when I can actually have a lunch, when I can take my lunch break. That used to be me. I used to work a sales job. I used to work at a call center where I worked 9 to 5, and I used to sit in traffic every single day, and I hated it, but I wanted change. And in order for change to happen, the change had to first begin here. I wasn't valuable enough in the market yet. I wasn't the person who I was supposed to be. And to be quite honest with you, I'll share another example. Ever since I was young, I've always dreamed of having talks about buying companies and equity and evaluations. Okay? Honestly, it was in the back of my mind. But with this new company that I built, my marketing company, that took us 7-8 months to actually build. Oh, that's another thing I actually attracted, speaking of. So I'll go back to back. I needed affiliate marketers for my company, right? Because that's how I mainly generate leads, is through organic. I went on a yacht and I networked, and the entire day was actually a mastermind. It wasn't until 5 p.m. where we actually got on the yacht, we watched the sunset, and we finished around 10 p.m. I talked to several people on the yacht that they were cool. I was meeting new people. I was vibing. It was a great time. I was recording content. But it was the last person on the yacht that I actually started talking to. And it was a perfect fit. He had a bunch of affiliates, and I had a product that required a bunch of affiliates. And so we were both sharing. We were both conversating or having a conversation. And our eyes were just lighting up. We were sharing energy. We were both hyped about starting to work together. And we followed each other on Instagram. We got on a call, that happened probably three weeks ago. And we're at the point where we're now getting onboarded with the company, and we're going to get access to that affiliate. So that was the first example. The second example was that it actually led to the owner wanting equity in the company. A company that is 8 months old. We cash flow very nicely. The profit margin makes sense. But we were only operating at 5 to 10% because we're fairly new. We know what we're capable of, but because we're brand new, it's just a matter of time to get to those 100K months, 500K months, $1 million months. And it's completely doable in my niche. This video is not to talk about my business, but he offered 3 times. He's like, hey, I want to, buy stake in your company. I want equity. Like, can we talk about this? Like, what number, what evaluation can I buy in it? And 20-year-old me would have not been able to have those conversations. I'm 22 years old now, but everything that I went through, actually, I'm not even gonna say that. I actually transformed, and I became someone capable of having those types of conversations. Granted, I had a sales background, but 20-year-old me who was knocking doors, trying to sell roofs through insurance, couldn't have possibly been talking to a business owner who's done $100 million of revenue. But within that week, I had full faith that I could handle it, and I had a great conversation. I got, he offered some stuff, and I was able to handle everything well. So that's another example. But yeah, I think that should be the end of my rant. I think that you guys should look into reading the Bible and reading in between the lines, right? Action steps. I think that you should try to apply and see, or read it and see what you can take and apply it to your life. I want you guys to understand that your energy is valuable, right? And you don't want to release that energy, right? It's called semen retention. I want you guys to understand that manifestation is actually a muscle you can train. Just because it doesn't happen now, it doesn't mean that it won't happen. So it's a muscle you have to constantly train. You have to have full faith. You have to constantly think about it. And you have to think about it as if it's already yours, as if you already have it. That's why so many people online will tell you, go to the dealership, go see what your dream car feels like. How do you feel when you're in that dream car? Because emotions are powerful, emotions are energy. And if you can replicate that energy and be thankful for it, be grateful for it, it'll come. So that's my rant for this video. If you guys stay to the end, I appreciate you. If you learned something, I want you to take it and actually do something with it, because it can just keep going. But I'll leave you off with this. There's the 3 spiritual planes, right? Relating it back to the Bible. There's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Relating it to the actual universe, you have the spiritual plane, the mental plane, and the physical plane. All 3 of those have to be aligned. Because in my mind, like 99% of the people, like the masses, I could be thinking about getting rich, my dream lifestyle, have the Lamborghini, my dream job, my dream career, right? Emotionally, am I someone who's always depressed? Emotionally, am I someone who's always negative? And physically, I'm thinking about getting rich, but physically, do I just spend my day scrolling on social media all day? Am I doing the right actions that will get me to my goals? And so all 3 of those have to be aligned. Okay, you have to have full faith. Your emotions have to feel as if you already have it. And your actions have to back it up. Because you can say all the affirmations you want, but affirmations without action is just delusion. So say your affirmations, take action, and you'll begin to manifest everything. So love you all. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next video.